A circle of friends bury their dark past, believing it will die with them. When a vengeful killer picks them out one by one, they realize that someone else knows their deadly secret. The police find 7 lifeless college students just hours before the 2004 Karma Palooza, an event they were going to attend. Their bodies are positioned in a way so that each one mirrors a deadly sin from the Holy Bible. Reporters dubbed the perpetrator the 7 Deadly Sins Killer, or the SDSK. 20 years after the gruesome carnage, the music fest returns and sparks fear of the psychopath's re-emergence. However, concert tickets sell out despite the looming threat. In an interview, Detective Russell Daniels hopes the fiend won't be back, but vows to catch him if he wreaks havoc. He believes the murders were staged to send a message to the public. Meanwhile, in a dark room somewhere else, a person closely watches the latest news on the upcoming music fest. 2 years before the Karma Palooza, a girl named Colette was found lifeless inside a cabin that she and her pals frequented. It was believed that she took her own life with a gun. In the present day, the same circle of friends prepares to attend the event. Sarah, the freshest addition to their clique, anxiously prays to get through the weekend. Wannabe social influencer Liv drops by within moments at her home. They head out together in a van to pick up 2 guys, including Will, the most laid-back and easygoing of the bunch. Next, they drive by Aaron's workplace to grab the drinks he set aside for them since he can't tag along for the ride. While waiting for the rest of the crew, Guy, who's known for using various substances for recreation, reminds him to bring some stash from the pharmacy. He initially hesitates about the plan, but when his crush, Sarah, invites him to join them later that evening, he's unable to resist and says he'll be there after work. Online celebrity Mona eventually catches up with them in the parking lot. As they're getting ready for the trip, LB suddenly shows up and tells the gang they need to leave right away. He's being chased by the enraged husband of the woman he spent the night with, so the philanderer dashes for the van. Sarah senses the danger and immediately drives off the instant he safely gets into her vehicle. During the ride, Mona calls her agent, but Liv interrupts and begs him to take her in. The manager says he'll reconsider if she gets 1,000 likes over the weekend. Just then, one of their rear tires burst, causing them to swerve uncontrollably on the road. They get tossed around, but Sarah acts quickly and brings the car to a screeching halt. The driver apologizes to everyone and makes sure they're all right, but the self-obsessed influencer only worries about herself when she notices her phone's been destroyed. Shortly after the accident, Officer Lois Shaw pulls over to check on the group. She advises them to look for lodgings because their special tire may not be replaced until tomorrow. Guy checks for accommodations on his phone and discovers they're all booked, but Sarah miraculously finds a place a few miles away and reserves it for the night. Wanting to help, the cop offers them a lift and says the garage can call them if their car is ready. She then drops them off at their destination and reminds them to be careful before driving off. The friends are instantly charmed by the property and begin exploring its amenities. In the living room, Will realizes the television is stuck on a channel playing the 7 Deadly Sins movie. Meanwhile, Liz calls everyone to the dining room when she comes across empty shot glasses. Each one is printed with a unique vice based on Catholic beliefs. She thinks they're a greeting gift since they include a note from the SDSK management. But Sarah believes the house's owners are scaring them into not breaking anything. The gang fills the glasses with drinks and jokingly assigns shots to each other, depending on which person best embodies one of the 7 deadly sins. Mona gets pride for being self-centered. Liv gets greed for always wanting attention. Will gets sloth for his laziness and lack of determination. And LB gets lust for sleeping around. Guy, who gets glutton, lives up to his vice and grabs the shot glass for Aaron. He's convinced that the man represents envy since he has the fear of missing out. Finally, Sarah gets wrath, although the influencer isn't sure as she seems incapable of hurting anyone. The woman challenges her assumption and says she just doesn't know her very well. With drinks in hand, the group raises their glasses and toasts their deep bond in Karma Palooza, unaware that someone is observing their celebration from a camera atop the TV. Mona invites the new girl to the inflatable pool she set up and asks about her friends. She says she was a loner in high school and didn't have any, so she's thankful they took her in. Sarah then heads back to the house, where someone watches her walk past all the hidden cameras until she reaches her room and leaves her locket by the bathroom. The gang spends their afternoon drinking champagne, although some also indulge in other mind-altering substances. By evening, Guy excuses himself to catch a secret performance at the Karma Palooza and sets off on foot. While waiting for a cab, A masked stranger tases him, rendering him unconscious. He wakes up strapped to a chair with the word "gluttony" scrawled on the wall behind him. Videos of Colette and his social circle play in the background as the 7 Deadly Sins killer prepares a mixture of deadly chemicals. Noxious gases are eventually released into his mask, causing him to hallucinate about the incidents leading up to her demise. Guy insists on his innocence, although his desperate pleas fall on deaf ears. The assailant pumps the glutton's abdomen with a toxic concoction until it fatally explodes. Later that night, the group plays Spin the Bottle, which initially pairs LB with Sarah. However, Mona wants the man for herself, so she defies the rules and boldly leads him upstairs to make love, oblivious to the danger lurking nearby. Inside a locked room, the SDSK prepares to attack and meticulously chooses a weapon. He then moves undetected through the house and closes in on the intended victims. As the two film their passionate encounter, the online celebrity sees a strange figure emerge from the shadows. She immediately stops recording and frantically shows the footage to the crew, confirming that an intruder has just entered their bedroom. Soon, they receive text messages from Colette, blaming them and demanding retribution for her early passing. Everyone starts to panic, including Sarah, who pushes them to explain what's going on. According to them, they used to hang out with the freshman until she became obsessively in love with Mona, who didn't feel the same way and decided to turn her down. Most of the gang believes she couldn't handle the rejection, so she took her own life at the shack they frequented. This led to an accidental fire that razed the whole cabin to the ground. Liv grows upset because not all of them are being truthful about what really happened. Once she's alone with Sarah in a room, she shares a different side to the tragic story. The aspiring influencer reveals that Mona manipulated Colette. She'd been sending her texts and leading her on, only to abandon her when the latter developed genuine feelings. She warns her not to trust their narcissistic friend, as she's the type who uses a person's secrets against them. Then she takes off to meet her online date, but when she gets to his car, she realizes it's a setup and gets abducted by the 7 Deadly Sins killer. Meanwhile, Sarah discovers her locket is missing from the bathroom. When she asks around, no one has seen it, although LB promises to let her know if anything comes up. The instant she leaves, he takes the girl's necklace from his pocket and shows it to Will. He discloses that he's been wanting to share an intimate moment with her, and the locket might just be his ticket. When asked about Mona and how she might feel, he denies having any relationship with her and thinks she's too erratic, which she overhears. Liv wakes up inside an empty bathtub on her knees, with hands tied behind her back and a bucket marked "Greed" suspended overhead. Her attacker posts a game online, where she must gain 1,000 likes in 2 minutes in order to live, or it will be the end of her. While people vote for or against her life, she tearfully pleads with the hooded villain. She claims she didn't do anything to Colette, and that she even tried stopping her friends. Sadly, she loses by a single dislike, and the SDSK pours scalding water onto the greedy attention seeker. The horrific scene goes live on her social media, although viewers think it's just an act as they continue to watch and cheer her on in posts and comments. The rest of the gang prepares to leave for Karma Palooza. When they can't find a taxi or an Uber, they call Aaron, who agrees to pick them up and drive them to the music fest. While waiting for their ride, Sarah's confused that Will is implying she has an eating disorder. She learns that Mona has been spreading lies about her and angrily storms out. LB follows her upstairs and, thinking she went into his room, closes the door. He pulls out the locket, hoping to impress her and get the opportunity for a romantic encounter. The womanizer approaches his bed and pulls the blanket, but is disappointed to see an inflatable doll. He asks his pals to call off the prank when the 7 Deadly Sins killer shows up from behind and temporarily blinds him with a chemical spray. After maiming the third victim with a knife, he finishes him off with an axe. Mona and Will hear loud thumps from downstairs and assume the loud noises are from lovemaking. Bored, the pair decide to hook up. But when Aaron arrives and interrupts their moment, they tell him that LB has already gotten to his crush. He goes upstairs to check on them but stumbles upon a terrifying scene and fills the entire house with his scream. Everyone rushes to his aid and finds him in a blood-filled room. When they hear their other friends wailing from a distance, they follow their sounds down the hall to a door that was once locked. They carefully descend the stairs and enter a space that eerily recreates their old shack. A television plays haunting videos from their past, most of which were captured on their phones. However, when they see a clip of them standing in front of the burning cabin, they lose their composure since it means an outsider was watching them. After seeing the group's emotional breakdown, Sarah demands the truth, so they take turns retelling the tragedy. It all started 2 years ago when Colette sent Mona intimate footage. The online celebrity wanted her to stop, so she recorded it on her phone without consent. LB posted the video online, which caused it to spread everywhere. The girl got into more trouble when her highly protective and religious parents found out about her indecency. The couple was supposed to meet her at the cabin to talk things over, but she was already lifeless by the time they arrived. When they saw their names carved on the floor beside her, they burned the shack to get rid of any evidence that would link them to her. Within moments of recalling their chilling past, the gang finds an altar with their photos. Each of them is assigned a deadly sin, leading Sarah to believe they're being punished for their flaws. Eventually, they discover a disturbing room with booths dedicated to each of the 7 deadly sins, along with the gruesome remains of their friends who had fallen victim to the SDSK. Will is overwhelmed by fear and runs away, but the psychopath intercepts him, causing him to falter. As he struggles to regain his footing, the axe buries deep in his back with one fatal blow. The sight of Colette's face on the serial killer's LED mask causes them to freeze in terror, but when the villain turns around to block the only exit, they flee in the opposite direction. Even though they get separated, they each find a spot to hide. Meanwhile, the sloth crawls on the floor and calls for their help, but the criminal drags him to his booth and decapitates him. Aaron witnesses this and ducks behind the tub, but when Lev awakens and starts screaming, she blows his cover. The 7 deadly sins killer moves in to finish Greed with a single strike, allowing him to narrowly avoid an attack. When he realizes he's cornered, he signals the women to make a run for it. As they dash towards the door and struggle to open it, the man begs the hooded predator to spare his life. The menacing individual continues to chase him, although he manages to evade the threat and join the women. The SDSK follows right behind, so the survivors move swiftly and silently in the dark. While crawling on all fours, Mona is distracted by the LED mask hanging ahead. The fiend pounces at them from the side, but she immediately stands up and hits him with a box. Her quick thinking buys them enough time to safely head upstairs. Unfortunately, they're greeted by another door and have trouble unlocking it despite their collective efforts. Eventually, the 7 deadly sins killer catches up to them, so the social influencer apologizes to Aaron and gives him a sweet kiss. She then uses his body to block the assailant and pushes with all her strength, sending everyone tumbling down the staircase. The high fall doesn't faze the attacker, who proceeds to claim Envy as the 5th victim. Mona stabs him before he can make another move, but he simply pulls out the weapon and forcefully throws her onto the sofa, where he tries to end her. Desperate to live, the woman pushes him off and successfully disarms him. He gets up and charges at her, but she hurls him to the floor and delivers several painful blows. As she's preparing to crush the perpetrator with a television, Lois reveals herself under the mask. Shocked, the online celebrity confronts the cop, who says they deserve what they got. The police-turned-criminal suddenly hits her in the head, causing her to lose balance. The fight escalates, and they find themselves grappling for control over a single weapon. When the officer gains the upper hand, she tells Sarah to get the other knife. She grabs it, but rather than use it on their common enemy, she attacks Mona instead. While the injured woman keeps pressure on her fatal wound, the seemingly innocent girl unveils her vengeful plot. She explains that after Colette passed away, she fell into a low point and tried taking her own life until Lois saved her. When she discovered they both hated shallow people like their friend group, they conspired to commit crimes inspired by the 7 deadly sins killer. She shows her locket, which contains a photo of Colette, and discloses their special relationship. Mona's eyes fill with rage as she realizes how deeply they were betrayed. Sarah admits she's indeed the embodiment of wrath and gives Pride one final nudge, forcing her to release her grip on her neck and bleed out. After claiming the 6th victim, she calls the police and pretends to need help. Cops arrive at the location minutes later to gather evidence of the crimes. Detective Russell Daniels is in the middle of interrogating the only survivor when Officer Shaw interrupts and insists on giving her a break. As soon as he obliges, she takes Sarah to the back of the house and checks on her. When she gets an update on the investigation, she reassures her that things are going as planned. However, the video of the group torching the cabin has been bothering Lois since everyone in their circle was in it, so she asks her who took it and what really happened that night. Her girlfriend reveals that she hacked into LB's account and told the influencer to meet at the shack. Colette found out what she was up to and came to stop her, but she wasn't aware, so when she walked through the door, she accidentally shot her instead of Mona. Meanwhile, the investigators noticed that the latest crime scenes contain details they didn't release to the public. When they find LB's phone and play the recorded clips, Russell recognizes the ink on the perpetrator's arm and rushes to arrest the killer. Sarah, who is aware that Lois's tattoo was captured on video, knows she needs to cut loose ends, so she carries out the final act in her plan. She steals the gun from the cop's holster and slips it right back into her hand the moment Detective Daniels walks in on them. As the seventh and final victim, she screams hysterically, claiming that Shaw is trying to shoot her. When the officer realizes that her girlfriend has set her up, she aims the weapon at her, forcing the police to take her down. Once she's alone, Sarah approaches Lois and apologizes for how things turned out. After all, they're just friends, and all her friends are dead.
Subscribe to watch more videos like this, turn on notifications and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.